it's already late. We should start early.
The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, is passionate about what it calls lifelong learning.
Well, this is the first time I am here in Shanghai and in China.
It's really impressive.
So today is the day when we are launching the workshop on the research about teachers as lifelong learners.
In mid-June, a group of executives from the UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning visited Shanghai to host a 3-day workshop on the topic and launch its major research on teachers' lifelong learning with the Shanghai Normal University. The research gathered experts, teachers, and policymakers into the discussion. Why did you pick Shanghai as the very first station for an international workshop for lifelong learning?
The city of Shanghai itself is one of the 356 learning cities of the UNESCO's network of learning cities, which is a global platform which our Institute for Lifelong Learning coordinates. Shanghai connects us on many levels with different projects and with different partners which are based in Shanghai. We have 13 cities from China that are part of this global network of learning cities. Shanghai has a big role to play in it. It's already showing several examples how lifelong learning can happen at the policy level, at the practice level, and addressing the learning needs of different population groups, and also looking at this issue from the more conceptual and research perspective. By having all these opportunities Shanghai has created, or Shanghai administration is trying to create, gives us a clear indication that lifelong learning is high on their policy agenda.
Actually, we see teachers have been updating their courses and improving their skills, have constantly been doing this. Why did you think it's not urgent to promote the lifelong learning for teachers?
Our preliminary research review shows that even though this assumption and expectation of teachers to be lifelong learners from the very beginning, we also see in the literature that it's not necessarily explicit. We still have in some parts of the world who are joining the workforce without training, initial teacher training. Some of the teachers who are already in the in-service or working in the schools, early childhood centers or adult learning centers, they're not necessarily given opportunity for continuous professional development. In a way, we are at the period when lifelong learning has become even more pronounced with the advent of technologies that are imposing or that are actually posing a lot of challenges and as well as opportunities for the individuals and the societies to engage with. And I think these kind of developments which are happening around us, including climate crisis that we have, the global migration, demographic trends that we see, this kind of context require teachers to be able to become lifelong learners.
The recent reports shows that the world is facing a shortage of 44 million primary and secondary teachers by 2030. And now we're putting more higher requirements on those teachers, asking them to have lifelong learning. Do you think that would put more pressure on those teachers? How do you motivate those teachers to have lifelong learning as their new habits and to keep them in their job?
Very good question, actually. There is a close relationship, positive relation between motivation and lifelong learning, and also teacher retention. And I think lifelong learning is not additional expectation. I see this question a little bit differently. I think that lifelong learning, by engaging in lifelong learning, whether they are doing self-learning or learning together with peers or learning as a community of practice or learning from a specific formal training, I think we see this opportunity, the teachers may see this opportunity as an important aspect of their life if it is reflected in their policy documents, if they are recognized by their policymakers, by providing them support into not just financial resources, but also recognizing the time that they have to put into lifelong learning is also integral part of their work, their contract, and their job expectations as well.
So that's also part of your workshop.
Yes, this is what we are discussing. We are not just discussing about what kind of lifelong learning competences or attitudes teachers should have to address global challenges, to address national challenges. But we are talking about what does it mean for teachers to become lifelong learners? what kind of key features, key competence, key attributes we have to explore to understand teachers' lifelong learning in general and teachers being as enablers of lifelong learning.
When do you think the public can see the detailed outcomes, policies or rules?
We have today launched the project officially. That's only phase 1 of our project. Phase 2 actually aims to develop policy guidelines and recommendations. Phase 3 will be engaging with some of the countries to contextualize these guidelines for their own countries with respect to teachers' lifelong learning. And I think we are hoping that the research outcomes will be available by mid next year, because we were going to conduct this research, not just literature review, desktop review, but also doing a survey as well as national case studies. We hope that by the end of next year, we will have a research consolidation that gives us opportunity to draft policy guidelines and recommendations, consult member states, and of course, maybe a year after, we hope to see some actions happening in terms of policy guidelines and contextualization at the country levels.
During the workshop in Shanghai, the Research Institute for Lifelong Learning and Sustainable Development was unveiled, with Yuan Wen, president of the Shanghai Normal University, as its first director.
Is the Shanghai Normal University one of the first universities in the world to have joined this project?
About teacher issues, I think we are the first.
Why did you think now is the right time to join the project and to study the lifelong learning project for teachers?
We always say that in such a changing world, education is the only way to solve the problems that we met for about climate changes, sustainable development, or even peace.
In Chinese tradition, there is a phrase 学无止境, which means knowledge has no limit or learning is an endless process. How's this new principle different?
Teachers' lifelong learning is not a kind of knowledge. I think it's a kind of competence. It's a kind of ability to help our next generation have their own abilities in their lifetime.
So the Shanghai Normal University is a place that's dedicated to cultivating teachers, qualified teachers, and studying the development in the education sector. Now UNESCO is promoting lifelong learning for teachers. How is that affecting the whole education world?
We are now in the arrows to develop very, very quickly. Both technologies, both our societies, or even the job. In the latest 3 years, more than 50% of our graduate students, they go into the education area, different education areas, from high school to basic primary school.
In the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development adopted by the United Nations, education is a big component.
China has been already playing an important role in the global cooperation in the area of international education by providing technical support. In addition to that, China also contributes quite a bit to the goals of sustainable development, particularly in education, by providing support but also creating the platform for the international discussion and engagement.